Peterson, and the video is, imagine convincing a biologist that dragons exist. And that biologist, who is that going to be?
The dragon fight story is explore the dangerous unknown, discover the treasure that revitalizes the community. There's no difference between that and the science that you practice. They're the same thing.
What do you think of that,
It's the
Richard?
same.
It's Richard Dawkins. Alex O'Connor's here too. I'm sure each and every one of the people in this room has the most delicious smelling farts to their own palate. I mean, I'm sure that was a debate at some point while they were sitting here.
No.
Richard, whose fart do you think smells the best? And then they would smell each other's farts. And that's, kind of how this goes. What's up with those chairs? That's the fart scent chair. It keeps it in there.
Story.
I don't know what to make of that. I mean, you say...
It's so good, dude. I haven't been able to agree with Richard Dawkins, transphobe, by the way. He's a transphobe. I haven't been able to agree with Richard Dawkins in so long. He's in a room with Jordan Peterson. This is maybe one of the final moments of Richard Dawkins' life that we're ever going to have an opportunity to maybe agree with Richard Dawkins. This is it. Because, I mean, like, he's not long for this world. Let's be real. He's in that, his skin is looking old in weird phase. He's done. This guy's had like 2 strokes and they made him worse. It's crazy. He had a stroke and became transphobic, and John Fetterman became a stroke and became a Republican. No. It's nuts. Well, he didn't become a Republican. He became a Democrat in name only, a dino, and he's for Kamala Harris, which is fine, but he's also like the worst guy ever. He's super fucking pro-Israel now. It's crazy stuff.
They're the same story. You've analogized the dragon fight to
Well, how many dragons have
Satan.
you overcome in your life?
I'm not interested in dragons. I'm interested in reality.
Okay, so let's
stark raving mad Jordan Peterson. Well, okay, let me talk to you about dragons.
Okay, so I read a
believe in dragons. Believe in them.
book a while back that described the biological reality of the dragon. Say, well, there's no such thing as a dragon. It's like, okay, is there such a thing as a predator?
What?
Of course.
Well, that's a meta category.
That's a meta category.
What's the
What is he's I don't understand why dragons have his veins popping out of his skull, red-faced, his eyes are bulging. Is he taking the fucking Is he back on the Russian drugs? Is he pumped full of Russian amphetamines? What's happening?
category of predator? Bear, eagle, if you're a primate. Fire? Is fire a predator?
No.
Well,
fire is not a predator, no. Bear, eagles, and fire. True. That's what Jordan Peterson does not play rock, paper, scissors. He plays bear, eagle, fire.
well, it's complicated because a fire kills you.
Not stuff that kills you. Stuff that kills you is not what a predator is. Stuff that kills you is simply stuff that kills you. Stuff that kills you is a bigger umbrella than predators. Predators are under the umbrella of stuff that kills you. Or can, you know?
Go.
It's because we've known he believes in dragons. Just the dragon of chaos were real or metaphor. I don't know what Jordan Peterson's brain is doing. It's the Russian drugs.
Okay, so is there a worse predator than serpentine, flying, fire-breathing reptile?
Is there a worse predator? I need this for Dungeons and Dragons. I need this.
Serpent fire kills you. Okay, so is there a worse predator than serpentine, flying, fire-breathing reptile?
I need that. I need it so bad.
Is that not the imagistic equivalent of predator? So in what way, if predator is real, in what way isn't dragon real?
Because dragons aren't things. What do you mean? That's like saying, I guess liches are real because they're evil and they kill you. It's like, no, man, there aren't dark wizards, dark undead wizards with phylacteries. It's not happening.
It doesn't take that much imagination to see the identity. And then wouldn't the fundamental task of edible primates be to figure out how to overcome the dragon forever?
What?
I don't know why you say dragon. I mean, we have lions, we have tigers, we have saber-tooths, we have
Why not
tyrannosaurs
abstract?
out there.
Why not abstract? What? You can't just tell people dragons are things, Jordan.
Right, but why not abstract? Because it's for the same reason that we have the term predator. Like we have the term bear, lion, Komodo dragon.
Komodo dragon. So a dragon would be next to those, but it doesn't exist, so we just shelve it. We shelve it as theoretical predator, you know?
Well, you make an amalgamation. You say, well, the relevant set of features is an image. Well, what's the image? Predator as such. What's the image of that? The dragon that never disappears. And
What? Your brain is dumb. You have a dumb brain. I think maybe we just put the fucking lunatics on TV sometimes, you know? I think maybe we just, sometimes the guy's wacky and we're like, you know, let's put him on TV. He's just saying crazy shit.
And then there's a twist on that, which is so cool. It's so interesting because you can imagine rabbit mythology, which would be something like...
You imagine rabbit mythology?
Predator appears, freeze. But that's not the human story. The human story is predator appears, there's a treasure somewhere.
What? Is he going to say, my survival is the treasure? That's not it. Maybe in Dungeons and Dragons. Again, I didn't know this was going to have crossover with my hobbies, but I'm very excited about it.
Right, that's a completely different pathway of evolutionary significance. Like the way that we construe the world isn't freeze like predator. It's like, oh, there's a predator. Maybe there's something valuable lurking in our conflict with it.
What? No.
Fuck bicycles!
Why? If he saw a fucking lion, a hungry lion, and he was out there naked in the Serengeti or wherever the fucking lions are left, why would he be like, ooh, treasure? No, he'd be like, I gotta get the fuck out of here, man. That's a big-ass cat. Former Dr. Jordan Peterson. Gee, wonder why. I know, right? He's just lost it. Jordan is the ultimate big bad evil guy. Vecna was just his secret identity. Dude, I don't know anybody that does a good Jordan Peterson impression. You just can't think like him.
No, our sticks and our spears that enable our fragile bodies to stand up against the dragons of the world.
So a dragon is a pictorial representation of the abstracted concept of a predator.
Yes.
As you
So why not just say predator?
say, we already have the term predator.
Yeah, thanks.
And so it might be useful in art, in narrative, you can't paint an abstraction.
We had the image way before we had the word.
Sure.
Sure, okay.
But that's a seriously important thing to understand.
Well, okay. Fucking why? I guess if you ask why, Jordan Peterson's going to tell you for 5 minutes, but he's not going to answer the question. You know what I mean?
Now we have the word. We have the word predator. And maybe if we were doing art, maybe if we were all going to sort of draw a picture or tell a story, or we wanted to invent a story to give our children a good moral message, we might invent this dragon or use this dragon as...
Well, we do, always. We do it continually.
Exactly, we do.
We do it with Harry Potter. We do it with The Lord of the Rings. We do it with the Avengers.
But when you say...
There's no escaping from it.
But when you say the biology of a dragon, you must understand how that can be misleading as to the enterprise that you're engaging in, because we're talking here about narrative, we're talking here about art, we're talking here about representations in literature.
I don't think the category of dragon is any less valid than the category of lion.
Any less
What?
biological?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, it depends on your level of analysis.
No, it doesn't. What do you mean? Dragons don't exist, Jordan. Why is he like this? I don't know what he's arguing for. Like, literally, at the very core of it, peel all the way. Like, what's it for, Jordan? What is it for? I don't get it. Dragons, man?
We have the term predator, which implies...
You're in the room not with an intellectual, but a madman, Richard Dawkins. I mean, Alex. Really, Alex is the only one in here that's sane. Ugh.
that all predators have something in common, because otherwise we wouldn't have the term. It's like there's no reason to assume ontological priority for the category of lion over the category of predator. Mm-hmm. Like it depends on all that would determine which of those terms should be used is the purpose towards which the conceptualization is being directed. Like if you want to identify a particular class of predator, well, then lion is a good term.
You would say that lions are an instantiation of this bracket term of predator.
Mm-hmm. Well, I would also say...
Would you therefore...
Oh, boy.
Say that a lion is an instantiation of the bracket term of dragon.
Yes.
Why? Lions or dragons? Is dragon just possible conflict? Why does he always use he loves the dragons.
Yes, because, see, because we're not only fact...
He's literally fucking crazy. This is all the... Yeah, don't you see? He's exasperated, like, why can't anyone understand my thoughts? Because it's not logical. He's not a cogent man. This is the only conclusion I can come to. Like, there's enough in there to where you could see his brain is mapping some kind of thought process, but it's not a logical one. He's a fucked up guy. I'm not unmedicated enough to follow this. I do like
oriented creatures, right? It actually matters to us whether we get eaten. Like, it's one thing to lay out the nomenclature of the animal kingdom, but
nomenclature?
Another thing to remember that predators can eat you. And then it's another thing, and this is very interesting, and it's relevant to that story of the bronze serpent. It's like, what do we want to teach our children? Well, to identify predators, obviously. Well, what do we want to teach them more profoundly? What attitude they should take towards the eternal fact of the predator.
The eternal fact of the predator? Evolution is very simple, but it churns out some fucked up brains every once in a while.
And the attitude they should take is something like the courage to voluntarily confront and not to run away and not to hide and not to freeze and not to casually demonize, but to assume that in the combat with the eternal predator, an eternal treasure might be found. Now,
why does he keep saying that?
That's exactly what you do, whether you know it or not, when you teach a child to be courageous. And we know from the psychological literature that generalizes. And I do think it's identical with the mechanism of learning in human beings because...
Dude, I think guys want to understand what Jordan Peterson is saying so they can feel like they're smart guys, but he's genuinely not saying useful stuff. You're losing your gray matter? Well, he's saying that dragons are struggles that you overcome, and behind a struggle is a value. But, like, that's not true. There's no virtue in suffering or whatever. Like, if you find a quality that's positive out of it on the other side of it, that's great or whatever. But I think everyone would agree that you'd be better off if you hadn't gone through whatever particular evil you've gone through in your lives. It's suffering is unnecessary, and that's why we call it, it's part of the definition of suffering.
Kids, us, we always learn on the edge. In your own life, and I don't want to be presumptuous, but
what is he doing all the time? Richard Dawkins is like, man, I don't know. Am I having another stroke? Is this actually happening to me, or am I good?
No doubt there have been situations where you've been battling to have your ideas distributed, even to modify your own conceptions when you had something new to learn. That's a sacrifice. You have to kill your stupidity so that you can move forward. That's what happens in the story of Abraham, by the way, when he makes sequential.
Why are you talking about the Bible already?
Sacrifices. So in the story of Abraham, you tell me what you think about this, because it staggered me when I understood it. Abraham is a protected person. He doesn't have to lift a finger. He lives in the socialist utopia. He's got everything delivered hand to mouth.
Abraham does not live in a socialist utopia. What? That's not what is described. Is this mania? Yeah, maybe.
He's at home till he's 70, and God comes to him as the voice of adventure, which is something remarkable to see, and says, you leave your zone of comfort and go out into the world. Have your terrible adventure. And Abraham says yes. And then a series of cataclysms occurs around him, just like it does in every adventurous life. And every time an episode...
None of those are dragons.
...concludes, he makes a sacrifice. Why? To get rid of what's stupid and old about him, so that he can...
Yeah, like his kid's foreskin, or his goddamn son. Hate that. Hate foreskins and having children.
...progress and transform. And that happens to such a degree that he gets a new name, which means he's changed so dramatically he's not even the person he used to be. And that's a consequence of following that adventurous pathway. And that's all coded in the story.
I think we just have to agree that we have different kinds of minds, and you're interested in symbols, and I'm interested in facts. I mean, let's take predators. I mean, predators, I'm fascinated by predators. Predators are the relationship between predators and prey is an arms race, an evolutionary arms race. And whenever you see a really complicated, beautifully designed piece of biology, what Hume, I think,
Calling it designed. So that
one of
Hume's
Hume's characters called things that ravish into admiration, or all who contemplate them. This is almost certainly the result of an arms race.
I would like to talk to Richard Dawkins about trans issues. I think that would be interesting. Maybe he can come around at the end of his life. But man, like, I don't know how you can be smart and stupid at the same time. It drives me nuts. Like, how can you think, this is my basic argument for trans rights or any of it, like just the whole gender thing, especially if you're an atheist. This is why almost all transphobes are religious, by the way, but he's one of the few atheists that are also transphobes. If you believe that we're apes on Earth, then surely you understand that our society is a social one, it's super easy to grant, and that we build systems socially that are unique to humans. And so, because we're just natural beings on this earth, there's literally no reason for you to think that because you're a man, you have to dress or act a certain way. These are just social constructs that we abide by. And I don't know why he doesn't believe that you can just live however you want. It's really weird.
Probably between predators and prey, could be between parasites and hosts. Mm-hmm. And so if we are talking about adaptations to just the climate, woolly rhinoceroses grow hair because it's getting cold. That's relatively boring. Mm-hmm. But when it's an adaptation to a predator, then you get an escalation of adaptations by prey, which are countered by predators, which are countered by prey, countered by... So you get a gradual escalation. Now, that's interesting. That explains why you have animals that run fast, why they have keen sense organs, why they have teeth, why they have sharp teeth, why they have behavior patterns that either protect them from predators or, if they're predators, help them to catch prey. The idea of the arms race is the thing that grabs me. The arms race between, nothing to do with dragons and mythology.
So fair enough, right?
Fair enough. He's so animated in a bad way.
And I share your appreciation for that remarkable, the remarkable phenomena that emerge in consequence of that. Okay, so let's take the idea of arms race. All right, so here's how I would construe what I said in what I think might be your terms.
Okay.
All right, we transformed the battle with the predator into a meme battle. We abstracted it so that we could figure out how to deal not with a predator, but with the class of all possible predators. Right, exactly.
Right, exactly. Huh?
The appropriate way to deal with the class of all possible predators is something like a meta-ethic. It's a stance that, let me give you an example of this. We actually know something about this psychophysiologically. And you can look at it spiritually or physically, and it doesn't matter.
Well, spirits aren't real.
So, for example, if you take people in psychotherapy and they're accidentally exposed to something they're afraid of, they have a stress response that's damaging if it's sustained, and they become more frightened. But if you expose them to exactly the same stressor, and they do it voluntarily, they manifest an entirely different pattern of psychophysiological activation.
So if things are different, people will behave differently? It's pretty smart stuff.
Okay, and it's a stance of challenge, right? And not of fear. All right, and so one of the things that you're doing in psychotherapy when you get people to expose themselves to, you could say predators, because that's an accurate way of dealing with it, is that you get them to shift into a mode of voluntary confrontation instead of prey-like apprehension and retreat. And what they learn from that is that they can embody that pattern, which I would call a spirit metaphysically. They can embody that, they can practice it. It's also the case, there's some evidence that there's epigenetic consequences of that. If you practice that process of voluntary confrontation with the terrible unknown, it can catalyze transformations that reach all the way down into the cellular.
But that's because we are made up of cells. He takes a long way to say stuff that's really simple. You have a full body reaction to being spooked. Yeah. Physiological changes.
And so we abstracted the fight with the predator into the imaginal space.
Imaginal?
We play out various tactics. Some of them are conserved and transmitted. They adapt themselves to the structure of human memory, and they make the
Dodgers? They just won the World Series? Let's fucking go.
foundation for our most fundamental narratives. Look, you know, the reference I made to Harry Potter, the reference I made to The Lord of the Rings and to the Avengers, these aren't casual references. You know, we spend most of our high-end computational power generating fictional worlds where we can portray meme battles so that everyone can observe them.
Yes. So lion as genetic, dragon as memetic. Richard, this concept of the dragon as the abstracted
He just stopped Jordan in his track.
predator as a whole. Can we talk meaningfully about the truth in these stories, where instead of talking about a predator or this predator or that predator, we're talking about the concept of
The
predators as a
dragon's
whole?
a meme.
Yes.
Dragon's a meme.
That's where the video ends. The dragon is a meme. So this guy isn't ever saying anything, and he doesn't deserve any of the money or success that he has, and it's fucking crazy. You just have to be a lunatic. This world is fucking stupid. The society we live in, imperfect, to say the least. That someone like Jordan Peterson has any following whatsoever is just an embarrassment. He's genuinely unhinged. I don't think he's well. I think he's having a lot of issues with cognition. One does not simply dragon. That's true. Or even dragons. If one stops to think, then there may be dragons. So don't stop to think. Buy Jordan Peterson book instead and quit that pesky thinking.